So how does your nervous system know that this year is over? I want to start with a question because we rush, we rush, we rush, we rush. Everything that we do um, is a push, is a rushed finish, and we're not giving ourselves the time to pause, to reflect, and to move with the natural cycles of life. So, good morning, Donna. This is one of, I think this might be my last live for this year. I'm having a couple of weeks off. And I wanted to discuss cycles and natural rhythms because when we're in today's modern world, we are all living on this surface level um, frequency instead of going into the depths and deeply connecting with our body, with the environment, with the natural world, right? With the cycles that are happening. And we're sort of out of sync because even our calendar is not quite in the right rhythm, right? October is supposed to be the 8th, and like December's supposed to be the 10th. Like, even our calendar is out of sync, right? And so that sort of is placing us in an unusual pattern biologically. So how do you support your system to naturally go in to a rhythm? Because when, there's so many beginnings and endings to life, and there's, our natural day-to-day, beginning and ending of the day, but there's a beginning and ending of systems in our environment. So not only just our day to day, but we've got our month cycle, right, and our year cycle, and now we're in this 9-year cycle, and we have completions within our physical body. So when something is finishing a cycle, we sometimes have a mourning or grieving process that we can glaze over because of this pattern that we're in, this disconnection and this surface level sort of energy of not actually deeply connecting with our system. And so the reptilian side of us, like that part of us that is wanting to be in cycles because that's the way our body has been forever and ever, that part of us goes into fight and flight, fawn and freeze, if we are not in rhythm with it, right? If we are not in, good morning, Renee, if we're not in that process of completion, of beginning a cycle and completing a cycle, and feeling it in our body, really deeply connecting in with the rhythms of our system, then it gets glazed over and our nervous system goes into hypervigilance, and it either numbs out or it gets anxious, or it just feels disconnected from who we are. So here we are in a 9-year cycle, and what does that mean to you? Like, everyone's talking about it, but what does it actually mean to you? We think about it and we intellectualize it. However, when we're deeply connected to ourselves, are you feeling what it feels like in your body? Are you connecting in with the rhythm and allowing your nervous system to recognize that we're coming to an end of a year and an end of a 9-year cycle? And what does that mean to your system? When you look at what you've done over the last 9 years, What are some of the things that you feel are being completed right now? Because what I have recognized with some of my clients is that things are getting stirred up at the moment. Relationships are getting stirred up at the moment. Um, Things that need to be completed are getting stirred up at the moment. So, what's your crisis at that you're finding is bubbling up? Because that is the thing that is looking for a completion before the start of another 9-year cycle. So when we're actually giving ourselves, our body, the opportunity to pause, breathe, and for our body to recognize the end, the body wisdom will tell you. The body wisdom will share with you what it is that we are choosing to let go of. What is it that you don't want to hold on to anymore, right? I worked with a woman yesterday who's got a lot going on in her life, and beautiful, strong, empowered woman, amazing at what she does. She's another recoder, and she's got all this stuff coming up around relationships and work, right? But when we pulled it apart, considering that this is the end of a 9-year cycle, right, and that it's here for a reason, she was in this space of continuously serving and continuously giving because she's really good at it. In chaotic situations, she can hold her own and people want to be around her. I had the same thing, have the same thing, but this process of being able to really work well in chaotic situations, because the conditioning from childhood is there's a lot of chaos, and you just end up being the one that can hold the family together, right? And so that becomes a natural pattern, a natural cycle within the system. And so the body goes, oh, I'm good at chaos. I'm the one that can manage it. And when there's calm, the body doesn't know how to cope. And so it creates more chaos so that it's got to function. So there was all this chaos happening, and actually it's the patterns, you know, the patterns of behavior, language patterns, you know, energetic patterns, that when I'm working with someone, I'm feeling into all of those things. And this woman said, I just don't have a choice. I'm like, oh, is that true? You don't have a choice. And she went into all of the reasons why she doesn't have a choice. I'm like, well, that's actually not the truth, really. Like, that I said that to myself, and we pulled that out of her. And it came to the point where, because she's, you know, a magical woman, and she has that sense, that sixth sense and understanding of herself on a higher person, you know, like a higher perspective. She said, I have visions, or I've had visions of coming down, a memory of not wanting to come down but feeling like I don't have any choice, and coming down too soon, and so it stemmed from the very first moment her soul made the decision, whether she had a choice or not, made the decision to come into this body and to go through this process of this human existence in this time and space, in this lifetime. So I went all the way back to that origin, and potentially, we did some work on past lives as well. However, when our nervous system is regulated to a certain way of being, then it will function in that the amygdala, right, the part of our brain that works on rote is the one that is in control, instead of our prefrontal cortex, which is our vision center, which is the part of us that envisions the future, and our third eye, and has a spiritual perspective and a higher understanding that's external in a way to the body. So as we come to this ending of a 9-year cycle, and the end of another year, giving yourself permission to stop and reflect, to deeply internalize what it is that you've experienced this year. What have you created? What have you created this year? Just have a moment to consider that. What it is that you've experienced this year. What part of that did you enjoy? And you could see that it was the beginning, or a new expression opening up and being birthed. And what part of it do you know, and you can feel in your bones, is the old patterns, and you just know that they're not appropriate for where you're going. They're not appropriate for you to bring forward into another cycle. What have you learned from those experiences? Because when we don't stop, when we're rushing, when we're caught up in the doing, when we're caught up in that, we don't give ourselves permission to reflect and to get the lessons that are deeply connected to our soul's journey. We don't give ourselves permission to pause, reflect, and take inspired action from them, right? Sometimes it's letting go of things like friendships. Sometimes it's letting go of the old way of being. I'm just thinking of another woman that I've just started working with, and we had one session, and at the end of that session, we did a lot of work in the spiritual, etheric realms, but then also in the nervous system, opened up chakras, closed chakras, all the things. And at the end of the session, she giggled, right? And I saw her whole system go to shut down, because it's like there was a thought of, oh, we don't do that. We're not allowed, in a way. And I picked her up and said, give yourself permission to be in a new state, to be in joy, to be happy. It's okay. And it was like you could see it sort of meld into her psyche as she thought about it. And it was a new concept, and also a recognition that she didn't even realize that she wasn't giving herself permission. It was just this one single thought that needed to be expressed for her to have a different experience. So what is your different experience that you've been waiting for? That you want to let go of something, an old belief pattern, and move into a new way of being in this new cycle. We have in, every month, sometimes we don't do them, but generally every month we have some sort of monthly mixer in Awakening Magical Women. And so in January, we're doing a free monthly mixer, and it's called Stepping Through the Looking Glass, where we're, not just turning another page, but we're shifting and changing and closing a chapter and moving into the new chapter, even into a new book, right? Because what we're going to do is we're going to map out a 9-year vision, and not just this year, but go into that deeper understanding of a higher perspective of the time cycle of 9 years, right? So that we're actually on board with our natural rhythm and moving into a place of being a conscious creator, having a vision of 9 years, and then we're going to break it down so that we've got something that we're sort of reverse engineering, and now we've got a focus of what it is that we want to create over that 9-year cycle. There's something to anchor into rather than just be living this life where we're being influenced by everything and everyone outside of ourselves, and we're floundering, right? It's like a balloon that's no one's holding on to. It's just like going with the wind. It's having someone you anchor into and ground into what it is you want to create. So we're doing that the end of January, giving everyone that break. And if you're interested, 10 days to Christmas and 40 to Christmas. I'm going to read that afterwards because it looks rather long. So when we are choosing what we want to create, now we've got empowered energy. Now we are living intentionally. Now we are taking control of our life instead of being influenced outside. So to get the link, what's the word? The word is going to be vision. Put the word vision into the comments and we will send you the link so that you can jump in for us and with us for this special event. And this is my last pause for the year. So I just want to appreciate all of the people that are watching and appreciate everything that you experience in your life, all the growth that you've had this year, and all of the things that you're doing to move the needle and to support yourself to expand and live in a higher timeline. And I will catch you. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I will catch you next year live. Take care.